Hello and welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to be looking at how to render a collection in our React application. So we're going to create a new folder called collections. And we're going to open our terminal and we're going to navigate to this folder. And in here, we're going to run our commands. We're going to call our application notes and we're going to use the React template. Once that's done, we're going to cd into our project and we're going to install our dependencies. Once that's done, we're going to head over to the source folder and we're going to delete the unnecessary files. And we're going to clear out our main and our app file. Now in our main file, we're going to import our app component. We're also going to import React DOM. And here we're going to define our collection, which in this case is going to be a collection of notes, which you can find in the description below, so you can copy and paste it. So our notes collection is going to be an array, and each element is going to be an object, and each object is going to have 3 attributes. It's going to have an ID, it's going to have a content attribute, and an important attribute. So this is going to be our notes collection. Now we're going to render our component, and to the render function, we're going to pass in our app component and we're going to give it an input of notes and we're going to pass in our collection. Now we can save this file and go to our app file, and here we're going to define the app component, which is going to take an input, which is going to be notes. And in here, we're going to return the different notes. So we're going to have a header that says notes, and we're going to have an unordered list. So the tag for an unordered list is UL. And in here, we're going to have different list items. So we're going to have different li tags. So for the first one, we're going to have notes at index 0. And we want to access the content attribute. Since we have 3 notes, we're going to copy and paste this 2 more times. And we're going to change this to 1 and this to 2. And finally, we're going to export our component. Now we can save our file and open the terminal, and we're going to navigate to our project. And we're going to cd into notes, and we're going to run npm run dev. Now if we go to our browser, we get the different notes displayed to our screen. Even though this works, this is not an effective way of rendering our notes. So we can imagine if we had 100 notes, then we would have to have 100 li tags. So this is not very efficient. So instead, we're going to be using the map function. So in our UL tag, we're going to have curly braces and we're going to have notes.map, which is going to have a note parameter, and we want to return an li tag. So we're going to have li, and in here we want to access the notes content attribute. So now if we increase the number of notes we have, we don't have to change anything in our code. So we can save our file and go to the browser. As you can see, our notes get displayed. But if you look at the developer console, we're getting a warning. So the warning says each child in a list should have a unique key prop. React uses these keys to quickly figure out what changed when our list is updated. So they're used to prevent mix-ups and make updates faster. So we should include key attributes when we are using li tags. In our map function, when we're returning an li tag, we're going to give it a key attribute, and we're going to set it equal to note.id. Since all our notes are going to have an ID attribute, we're going to use them as keys. So now if we save our file and go to the browser, as you can see, the warning has disappeared. Now you may be wondering why we don't use the array indexes as keys, but this can cause some problems. This is mainly due to the lack of stability. So when our list changes, the different indexes are also going to change. So our keys are not going to be consistent. So now let's do some refactoring. So we can create a component called note, which takes in a note input and is simply going to return an li tag that displays the content attribute of our note variable. So we're going to use this component. So we're going to get rid of our li tag. And in here, we're going to pass in our note component, which takes in an input. So we're going to have note, and we're going to pass in the note parameter we get from our map function. And we're also going to pass in our key attribute, and we're going to set it to note.id, and we're going to close our component. Now you might have noticed that we put the key attribute when we use the component, instead of directly in the li tag. The key attribute should always be applied to the highest level element that is being repeated in a list, which in our case is the note component. This helps React manage the components in our list properly. So we should always have the key attribute on the highest level element. Now to further organize our code, we're going to move our component to a separate directory. So you can imagine if we had a large project, then we would have multiple components in one file. So in order to be organized, you would move the different components into their own file. So to practice that, we're going to move our node component into its own file. So we're going to select it and cut it. Then in our source directory, we're going to create a new folder called components. And in here, we're going to create a new file. And the file name is going to be based on the component name, which in our case is going to be note. So we're going to have note, and the extension is going to be JSX. Now in here, we're going to paste in our component, and in order to use it, we're going to export it. So we're going to have export default note, and now we can save this file and go over to our app file, and we're going to import the note component. So at the top, we're going to have import note from, and we're going to access the current directory. Then we're going to go in components. Then we're going to get the note file. When you're importing a component, you do not need to add the .jsx extension. So now we can save our app file, and if we go to our browser, our application still works. So this has been a lesson on rendering a collection in our React application. Thank you for watching this video, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel to show your support.